Marketplaces are one of the hardest businesses to scale. Any business is challenging to get off the ground, but marketplaces in specific have a lot of moving parts. Some of you know that I've been running a marketplace for the past 5 months, and in this short period of time we managed to scale it to $40,000 per month in GMV. However, things aren't close enough to be stable and there's a lot of work that we need to do still, so this is definitely not a success. And so in this video I want to share with you the reality of building a marketplace business. So the first thing I want to say is that we started building this in February of 2021, so more than a year ago. And I have a video on this channel breaking down exactly what we did since day one, from creating a logo to buying the domain to finding a developer, all that. You can check it out here if you want, if you're curious about the whole process. But one thing I regret is definitely spending a full year developing the product instead of releasing it earlier. It's never a good idea to spend thousands of dollars and 1 year of your time building something when you're not sure if people will use all the features or even if they like the product. Imagine you spend a full year building something and you finally launch it out to the public and nobody cares about it. In our case, that didn't happen, but what happened was that instead of us releasing a very simple MVP, we kept on adding different features to the product that we thought our clients would use, and some of them haven't been used till this day. So again, we spent time and money building something when in reality what we should have done was release the product earlier with less features, then work on the product with the user's feedback. Now, one of the main issues with any business and in specific marketplaces is payments. And payments are the biggest headache in a marketplace business because it's a two-sided business where you have a buyer, a seller, and you also have to hold the funds in an escrow. Things can become very complex very fast. There are also licenses you can acquire if you want to hold the funds yourself as a business, which cost multiple thousands of dollars, but you can also rely on a payment processor that does that for you. Of course, you'll pay for this service, which will eat up on your margins. Now, because we're based in Europe, we couldn't use one of the main payment processors in the world, Stripe. We had to go with an European-based solution. At first things seemed great, but of course things are never as good as they look, and until this day we're still having issues with our payment processor. One of the main ones is that because they're based in Europe, it's very hard for them to hold all the licenses to be able to process cards from the US. So a lot of US payments get declined, so you can imagine how much money we lose every month because of that. And that's why we had to implement PayPal. And PayPal is great, but their fees are extremely high. In our case, up to 8%, which is insane. The whole payment industry is extremely complex, and when you're dealing with a marketplace, it is 10 times harder. And like I said, until this day, we're still facing issues with our payment processor, and taking into account how our marketplace works, our business model, and the fact that we're based in Europe, there are very few payment processors that we can rely on. Now, the two sides. On a marketplace, you have both the supply side and the demand side. So you have essentially two different customer groups to please, which makes things 2 times harder. A marketplace business is also a game of volume. It's simply a volume game. You take a commission out of each transaction, so you need a lot of transactions. And usually marketplaces take a small commission from 10 to 20-25%. So to make money, you have to have a lot of people buying and selling services. Because you can't simply increase your fee or take rate to 50%, otherwise people will stop selling on your marketplace. Unless of course you have some tools that make them stick to the marketplace, which is something that we're currently working on. Now, because it is a volume business, this brings on another issue, which is unhappy clients. So the more transactions you have, the higher the probability is that you'll have unhappy customers. And that can mean chargebacks, negative reviews, whatever it is always a negative. And the way you can combat that is by increasing the AOV and vetting both the supply and the demand. Because if the supply are highly vetted and are truly professionals, the likelihood of them delivering a low quality piece of work or even scamming someone is very, very low. And by vetting the demand, whether that is by niching down the marketplace or making it so the average price of the product or service on the marketplace is a bit higher, also works to minimize all this risk. And finally, scaling. Marketplaces are very hard to scale. I was lucky enough to have this personal brand in the SEO space, which allowed us to gain this initial traction. Without it, we probably wouldn't be here. That being said, even with this initial traction, things are still very hard to scale. Now the good side, because running a marketplace is not just about challenges, there are also of course good things that come with it. But like any business, of course, it's not easy. If it were easy, anyone would do it. And the positives of running this type of business definitely outweigh the challenges. The first one is that once you get the ball rolling, it is like a snowball effect. It is very hard to stop. It creates this network effect similar to what social media platforms do, which is very, very hard to stop. You also help a lot of people running their own businesses. Because you build a platform or a marketplace where people can buy and sell services, you're creating opportunity for these people that sell on your platform and helping them grow their own businesses. Also the fact that you basically have no inventory. It's a fully digital business. At the end of the day, it's essentially a software business. So the running costs are very, very low. There's no shipping costs, product costs, all that. It is a full digital business, which is great. And also because of that, if eventually you want to sell your marketplace business, the multiples can be very healthy. And that's basically it for this video. It is my first sort of high produced video. If you can tell by my voice, I'm a bit sick. I just came from Bali, as you know, so being here in Portugal again with the cold weather, I'm still getting used to it. I hope you enjoy these more high-end produced videos. If you do, let me know in the comments, drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you very, very soon.